Hello, Game Changers. Barry William McGlady here, back for another episode of the Comeback Game podcast. And today we bring back a previous guest, Aaron Walker from View from the Top. So Aaron has founded more than a dozen companies with over 41 years of experience. He attributes much of his success to having surrounded himself with mastermind counterparts. Aaron spent a decade in a weekly mastermind with Dave Ramsey, Dan Miller, Ken Abraham, and five other amazing entrepreneurs. Aaron's the founder of Iron Mastermind that now hosts more than 19 groups of mastermind members from around the world. Today's conversation, we dive into understanding a bit more around the power of community collaboration and contribution, and how if you want to take yourself seriously as an entrepreneur business owner, you need to surround yourself with people that won't just tell you what you want to hear, but people will challenge your ideas, people will challenge your belief systems, and people will constantly strive to lift you up higher and higher. I meet a lot of people on phones that are looking to join the Game Changers program that want help and want assistance, but aren't willing to invest the time or the money. Yet, if you're wanting to take your business to the next level, it is important that regardless of whether you invest time or money, you do invest in implementing the education that you learn, and also you invest in surrounding yourself with people that are going to call you out, people who are going to support you and really strive and help you to become the best version of you. And that's exactly what me and Aaron speak about today. So without further ado, let's head over to this amazing interview with Aaron Walker from Iron Shapers Mastermind. Hey, Aaron, so grateful to have you back, mate. How you doing?
Hey, Barry, I'm doing great, man. How's it down under? Things going well?
Mate, it's good. Crazy times though, right? Like we just coming out of this whole COVID pandemic, and Australia's in rioting, America's in rioting.
Yeah, it is. You know, I was just listening to your accent a little bit, and I wonder what it would sound like with a Southern drawl like I've got if I say, hey, mate, everything is really doing, do I pass the test, or do I just need to stick with my Southern drawl?
Yeah, stick with the Southern drawl.
You're awesome, man. Yeah, we're experiencing, Barry, some crazy stuff in the States right now. It is insane. The COVID stuff, hit us, and now this racial tension, and it's very unfortunate. We're a strong nation, and we'll get through it, and we'll hopefully be better on the other side of it.
Yeah. So sideline question. There's some stuff I'd love to chat about today with you. Like, what's your feeling or what's your belief behind all that we're seeing? Like, we talk about 2020 being hindsight, right? We're in the year 2020 right now. From Australia's perspective, like we got smashed with bushfires. Bushfires bigger than the world's ever seen at the start of the year. Straight off the back of bushfires, barely had a chance to breathe, and we got hit with COVID. The States obviously into COVID, now into all the rioting and the racism, stuff like that. Like, have you got any thoughts or perspectives around what's happening at a global and universal level right now?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is political, quite honestly. We won't go down that rabbit trail, but I do think some of it is political. I'm a person of faith. I'm a Christian by faith. And so from my faith perspective, a lot of this is biblical prophecy. It was prophesied that a lot of these things are plaguing us today. And so that kind of pairs into the way I believe and the things that I believe. But, we've been dealing with trials and tribulations since the beginning of time. Right? This is nothing new. It's just a different day, and it's a different challenge. And we're going to get through this, and we're going to be fine. I think it's going to make us better businessmen. I think it's going to make us better personally. We're built to withstand adversity, and without adversity, we can't really excel at other areas. And it's like the tension when you're lifting weights. You got to tear the muscle in order to build it back up. And I think that's what we're going to do with this. I think we're going to be better people on the other side of it.
Yeah, I absolutely love that perspective. Like, we're very adaptable species. It was interesting. A few hours ago or earlier today, I was getting my hair cut in the barber, and I was overhearing the barber speak to his client in the seat next to me. He's saying, you know what, like this whole COVID thing, it's actually been a benefit for me. He's like, I got to stay at home. I got to do more stuff around the house. I saved a bunch more money. And he's listing all these benefits off. And I was speaking to my barber, and I was saying, isn't it funny? Like 2 months ago, everyone was freaking out. Everyone was freaking out. The world was in complete chaos, having no idea what was going on. All of our certainty was taken away from us. In many ways, a lot of our free will was taken away from us. Yet he's not the only person I've heard share the perspective of like, wow, this thing was actually good. And I guess this interesting thing, you shared that as well. Like I too am a man of faith, and I believe that nothing happens to us. I believe that happens for us.
Right.
Yet nothing has meaning other than what the meaning we give it. And we
Right.
ourselves have the opportunity to see something as a blessing or a curse,
Yeah.
right?
And I'm always a guy that's my glass is half full and not half empty. And I always look for the opportunity that this presents, not how this has created a devastation that's going to take me out.
Yeah.
And so I've got a lot of grit and determination and perseverance, and my record will attest to that. 41 years in business. We've owned 14 businesses, and I've faced many adversities throughout my life. And I've gone through many tragedies, had personal tragedies in my life. And each time I don't like it. I don't want to repeat the school, but it's made me better. And
Yeah.
I think this will make us better also.
Yeah. Provided we can see, we can have that mindset. And that's the difference here, is that if we keep the mindset that this has happened to us and it's
Yeah.
a negative thing and what we've lost and all the other sort of
Yeah.
things, like we can only have a filter in that experience. Whereas if we're seeing the
Sure.
opportunity in this, I too believe that, like, it's crazy. We've been through some crazy stuff,
Yeah.
but like everything else in life, we'll get through it, and we'll get through it stronger and better for it.
You know, I have a growth mindset, not a fixed mindset. Carol Dweck talks about it in her book, Mindset.
Yeah.
And we have to look at this and say, we'll adapt and I'll change. What does it make possible? How can I adapt? And quite honestly, we've profited financially from the COVID as a result of technology is now more on the minds and the forefront of people, and technology is where our business is built. And so it's made the sales easier to be involved in our mastermind groups. I'm
Yeah.
very, very unhappy at the fact of the lives that have been lost and the devastation and the jobs. You know, we're, 40 million people in the US without a job now. And that is so unfortunate. And I'm so sorry, but it's going to create other opportunities,
Yes.
just like in the Industrial Revolution. Things happened and there's no more horse and buggy, but Ford came along and invented the car, and it's created opportunities, and this will create opportunities too. It just sucks in the midst of it. But Barry, you know as well as I do, man, in a year, this will be behind us, we'll be forgotten, and we'll move on and we'll forge forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess this brings to a point that I want to chat to you about today, and that is like the power of tribe and the power of community.
Yeah.
You've built something pretty impressive over there in the States, which we can chat about in a second. And I guess the thing that I've noticed now is that there's never been a greater need for connection, and there's never been a greater need for contribution and collaboration as well. Let's dive into the topic of, I guess, the power of network and the power of community as well. What's your viewpoint on that?
Yeah, 20 years ago, I was invited to be in a mastermind group with Dave Ramsey, big financial guy here in the States. And I didn't even know what a mastermind was at the time. And I didn't really want to go because I thought, I don't want to be vulnerable and I don't want to be transparent. And I don't want to go in there and air my dirty laundry to everybody, And he's, no, come on, it'll make you better. So I joined the group and we met for about a dozen years, and it radically changed my life, because when I would see other professional men say, hey, I don't understand this. This is an area that I haven't perfected. I need this relationship. I need this resource, and other people could provide it. They could give you encouragement. They could edify you and lift you up, but they could also call you out. They
Mm,
could point out your superpowers, but they could also identify your Achilles heel. They could
mm,
say, hey, these are blind spots, Barry, and you need to pay attention to this because this is not going to serve you well long term. In the hours that you're working, you need to create boundaries, because you're going to come home one day with a pocket full of money to a house full of strangers if you're not careful.
yeah.
Then they would hold you accountable. And so all these things that have just proven to be in my life necessary tools in order for me to be successful. And that's what the power of community does. During these times that we're faced with right now, I can't imagine making decisions alone.
Yeah.
If I didn't have anybody, if I didn't have non-biased trusted advisors to bounce things off of, I would crawl under my desk in a fetal position and not come out, because we've never dealt with a lot of these trials that we're experiencing today. And other people have different life experiences. They have different filters by which they view things, and you don't know what you don't know. And once that you expose yourself to something, it can give you very, very good ideas, possibly in your endeavors. And so, man, I ask so many questions. I surround myself with so many competent people, and it has really aided in my success over the past 2 decades.
Mm. And I guess too, like, to a further point that you mentioned before around the whole COVID thing, is that your business thrived because of the online technology. And God, would I
Sure.
love to have had shares in Zoom 4
Me
months
too.
ago as well.
No kidding. No
Wow.
kidding.
But, that's the beautiful thing that we have now. And business is the same too. Like I was saying to someone, like gone are the days we have to hire locally and build a business throughout your local region or suburb or state.
Yeah.
Like you have
Yeah.
the ability right now through technology to hire the best of the best as contractors from anywhere in the world to work in your team, to work on your projects you're working on. And I guess it's the same too in terms of mentorship and surrounding yourself with a network, is you have the ability to connect with anyone, anywhere in the
Yeah.
world very, very easily.
Yeah, the world is your oyster. I mean, regional and locality matters not anymore. And we're in 9 different countries now with members participating in our mastermind groups. And recently there was something that I was needing from a technology standpoint. And there was a young man, 31 years old, in Moldova, which is just outside of, in Europe. And he'd read my book. He lives in a country that's, it's a very poor country, quite honestly. And he saw the need and reached out, and he was able to help me. And I said, without technology, I would have never heard from that guy. I would have never known he existed. He was able to help us work through this situation. I've been able to add value to him. He's even considering joining our mastermind now. And I'm thinking, man, this is amazing. I don't have to count on people geographically anymore. And so it just really connects the world. It really makes the world much smaller. And it just really allows you to tap into the skills that are all over the world. There's 7.5 billion people now, and you're able to take full advantage of all their trades and skills.
Absolutely. Let's and very well put as well. Let's talk about what a mastermind is, because I know a lot of people have a certain connotation of what they think that it is. And I can tell you in a lot of cases, it's what they're not. And that is just a room full of people learning from a speaker up the front. Like that's a workshop, that's a seminar, that's a classroom.
Yeah, group coaching. That's group coaching. Yeah,
what is a mastermind?
Everybody makes it very complicated, and it's not complicated. Really what it is they're non-biased, trusted advisors that you can call your own personal board of directors. In essence, that's a summary of what a mastermind is. You hear all these fancy terminologies where 2 or more minds gather together, it forms a third mind, and Napoleon Hill. I mean, that was good and all that, but the simplicity of it is this is your team. These are your guys, or these are your ladies, or these are your mastermind members. These are the people that support you, edify you, call you out, encourage you. They're your team. And I call them simply the board of directors. They're people that can help you. Now, you got to be very careful the people that you surround yourself with, because you want non-biased people around you. You want people with courage. You want people that identify with your core values, because if you don't share similar core values, you're never going to reach a consensus of the multitudes. So I would just encourage you to really think through. Diversity is amazing, and you want diversity. I talked to a guy recently, it's very successful. He's a multi-billionaire. And he said that he reads every day, obviously, about things that he's interested in. Jeff Hoffman is who it is. He started Priceline. And he said that he reads 10% every day of things that have no relevancy whatsoever to things he's of interest in. And I'm like, why is that so? He said, because you don't know what you don't know. And when you have diversity in your life, it opens up new opportunities. And he said some of the best thinking points, the best deals I've ever had in my career came from those things that I had not exposed myself to previously. Well, that's what a mastermind does for you. A mastermind gives you perspective. And from my viewpoint, that's one of the most valuable things in a mastermind. Barry, you've had different life experiences. You live in a different part of the world than I live in. Your family's different. Your wife is different. Your kids are different. Your relationships are different. Your faith is different. All these things are different, right? And so you're smart, and you bring a lot to the table that I've not been exposed to. Why would I not want to listen to that and possibly implement some of those strategies into my personal life? And so for me, that's one value. The other value for me is the camaraderie. It's a lot easier to do things with support when you have somebody that's in your corner, when you have somebody that'll say, like guys say to me, because I get out of the shower every day with 3 new ideas, and they're like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. There's no way. Or, hey, you've got the shiny object syndrome. What you need to do is narrow your focus, and you need to be an inch wide and a mile deep. Really what you're trying to do right now is to be an inch deep and a mile wide, and that's not going to serve you well. Gary Keller talked about it in his book, The One Thing, right? We need to focus. We need to narrow down. And I'll be honest with you, the more I narrow my focus, the more successful I am financially. And it's proven to be true over and over. And so I need people around me because I can have the shiny object syndrome, that new technology, this new way of doing things. Well, that may be good and it may work well for other people. But if what I'm doing is really working well, let's double down on that. Let's continue to go down that path. These newfangled things are good and they can be helpful. They can also be a very big distraction that can disallow you from being hyper-focused on your niche, which would produce great results if you would focus. So this is what the Mastermind has done for me. I've not missed a Mastermind meeting in 21 years, and I'm in there every week, because it's aided to a great amount of success for me.
Let's say too that your net worth equates to your network.
Sure.
And some of the best ideas that I've had have been through conversations, during a break, at a workshop, at an event. It wasn't the workshop or the event itself. Yeah. It was during the break, speaking to someone else that, as you said, was the 10%. Sure. They weren't in my industry. They weren't experiencing my problems or challenges. They were just sharing what was going on for them. Out of curiosity, got that idea that skyrocketed my business or skyrocketed something in my life.
Barry, I want to touch on something you just said I think is really important to a lot of new entrepreneurs. A lot of the seasoned guys that are a little older will get this and understand what I'm saying. But I was at dinner recently with 2 very successful men, and one of them sitting across the table, and he said, there's great power in wisdom. And I said, I disagree. And one of my friends looked at me because he had brought this guy, and he's like, oh my gosh, what is he going to say? And he said, well, what do you mean? And I said, there's great power in the implementation of wisdom.
Yeah.
So we can have a great network, but we can know as many people as there are, but without implementation on a consistent basis, wisdom is useless. And so I would just encourage people to really think about what they know and have a consistent plan for implementation, because the harder I work, the luckier I get. And I want to encourage people to have some type of system and plan. We use Brian Moran's The 12-Week Year, and it's something that helps me focus on the task, not the goal. See, the goal will take care of itself if you focus on the task and have lead indicators every day with a weekly accountability meeting. I have 3 other people that meet with me at 11:15 on Mondays every week for 2.5 years, and they make sure I'm completing the task. And they know if the task is done every day, the goal will take care of itself.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step.
Right. Every day.
Yeah. So tell me then, you spoke a lot about the benefits of a mastermind. How does one go about finding this for themselves? Because I know from our organization, we meet a lot of business owners that have the best intent to grow their business, but they're just not willing to do anything other than what they've done. They're not willing to invest the money. They're not willing to invest the time. There's something that's brought them on the phone in the first place, but ultimately it's like, I think I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. But yet we know the definition of insanity is, continue to do what you've done, you get what you got.
Right.
What is it that you see differentiates people successfully and those that don't? Right. We spoke about action implementation being one.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. It's all mindset again. It's the way you look at things. I was a very arrogant, condescending, condemning type young man when I was young. I had no money at 18 years old and met 2 guys, and we started a business, and we sold out to a Fortune 500 when I was 27. So I began to believe my own press clippings. I thought I was somebody, and I was something, and it about got me in trouble financially and relationally, because I made some bad choices because I didn't have accountability. I didn't have other people surrounding me, asking me questions. And a recipe for disaster is a 27-year-old with no schedule, because when you're young, you don't know everything. When you're 60 like me, you don't know everything either. And so we constantly are learning. Technology is doubling annually now. It used to double every 20 years when I was in my 20s, but today it's doubling annually. So things are changing radically, very quickly. And so I need people around me to guide me and direct me and help me as I go down this path. And so I would just say, first of all, it's never an expense. It's always an investment.
Mm.
I can't begin to tell you how many multiples my income has increased as a result of being around other successful people. It's not about working necessarily harder. It's about working smarter. And it's about surrounding yourself with competent people that have been there and done it. You can read a book and tell somebody something, but when you surround yourself with people that have physically done it, Robin and I celebrate 40 years of marriage in 2 weeks.
Wow.
Young people come to me now, married 5 or 10 years, and they say, I'm going to go tell her this and I'm going to do this. And I said, well, that's not going to serve you well. And here's what's going to happen as a result of it, because I have 40 years of experience in marriage, same way in business, same way in other endeavors that you may want to maximize your potential. Get around people that have life experiences, that has that business experience. And you can't do that alone, because isolation is the enemy to excellence. And if you really want to excel, you've got to be in community. We were designed to be in community. And as soon as you can let your pride and your ego go and you are willing to subject yourself to the scrutiny of other people, that doesn't mean you have to do everything they say, but be willing to hear it, because they may have a better idea than you.
Yeah. And I think that's where some of that internal objection comes up. I think you shared at the start of the episode, is around being found out or being vulnerable. And I remember too, for myself, like for many years when I started coaching, there was a long period of time that I was going and investing a lot in workshops and mentors and coaches. Then I started getting a level of success, of course, from that investment and implementing it, that I'd still go to workshops and seminars, but I stopped putting my hand up. I stopped asking questions. I stopped putting out there, because I started to worry what others would think about me. Like I'm now seen to be this business leader. Like, who am I to share? And I remember it was 3 years ago, I went to a workshop and I was like, you know what? I'm going to show up here fully as all of me, mess and all. And it was most the profound experience I've ever had in my life. And it really shifted and defined who I am today, because I shared vulnerably at that point in time. And I realized that when we share vulnerably, we're never alone. We're never alone. Like, we have these stories, we create these stories that we're the only ones that think this way or that act this way. The reality is it's not true. And you would know yourself, being through the mastermind you've been through for as long as you have.
Yeah, here's the thing, Barry, is that we have a veil. We have this facade that we live behind. And you think if you let this veil down in this facade, they're going to find out that you are a poser or an imposter. That's what you're afraid. And the truth is that it endears you to that other person when you're vulnerable to them. They go, Barry's a real guy. He has struggles and trials also. Allows other people to be more honest with you because you were vulnerable.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so interesting, the human conditioning. There's such a fear around being seen or being exposed or not being good enough. But the reality is, as you said, like when you shared vulnerably from your heart, like my business as well, the more vulnerably I show up, the more I share with them my flaws, the closer the team moves together, the more the team can support me.
Right. Well, and they can, because they identify you as a real person. People are sick and tired of the Facebook persona. I live in Hawaii and I work a 4-hour work week. And, the truth is there's struggles, there's trials, they're having trouble with their spouse, and their teenage children have gone wayward and they don't know what to do with their business, and their cash flow is not where it should be, and they're struggling with getting new clients. We all experience those things. Yeah. And I've been around very, very successful people. And the ones that are really vulnerable and transparent and authentic are the people that I call friend, because they're willing to help me. I'm willing to help them. This polished version, that's the reason some of the things that we do are pretty successful, is because I'm raw. I'll just share. I will share my challenges I have with my wife and my children and my grandchildren, my business. That way we can help each other. And so I just think it's a better way to live life. Plus, it's not exhausting. The other way is exhausting. You got to remember what you said and who you're with and how you present yourself. And now Ryan Holiday wrote a great book called Ego is the Enemy. And the truth is it's a very exhausting life to live that way. And I just elect to live very truthful and honest and open. And as I do that, other people are the same with me, and I learn so much more, so much faster, and we're successful more as a result of it.
Yeah, absolutely. If you were to go back, like knowing what you know now, like you've been in business for a long time, you've learned a bunch of stuff and probably learned a lot faster than most being surrounded by the people you are. If you were to go back and have a conversation with like the 10-year-old version of you, what would you say to that version of you? What advice would you give him?
Well, you kind of alluded to it a little bit when you were talking about the mastermind group. Like, I'm busy, I don't have time to go and meet with other people, and I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. And quite honestly, that's a very immature way to present yourself as an entrepreneur, because
Yeah.
what you're saying to the world is, I've got it all figured out. I don't need your help. Well, the truth is, none of us have it all figured out. We're all a bunch of knuckleheads, and we're just trying to figure it out. And what I would do is suggest that you build relationships more intentional, and that you become more authentic and vulnerable with a small group, not the world. I'm not suggesting you go out there to the whole world, because they don't have context. And so with a small group of people, 10, 20 people, that you can really let your hair down, that you can really say, I'm struggling, I don't know what to do, I'm having these challenges, will get you so much further faster.
Absolutely.
The other thing is you've got to be willing to invest the time. See, I spent 12 years meeting with Dave Ramsey and his group in the mastermind every Wednesday for an hour and a half. So it took 4 hours of my day every Wednesday for 12 years, because I had to drive there. We met in person. We'd go to breakfast. I'd drive back. But the thing is that has proven to be invaluable. Well, they get tidbits of information, but they have no relationship long-term. And the relationship long-term is what's going to make you successful. And so I would just suggest find a great group, plant your roots there, get to know the people, cross-pollinate with other groups, really dive in and build those relationships, and they will prove to be invaluable. That's what I would tell a much younger version of myself.
Absolutely. And it's served you very well as well. Mate, so for those that are curious to find out more, I think you got a bunch of great goodies for our listeners today. Where can they find more about you and find out what you've got for them?
Well, thank you, Barry. First of all, I've enjoyed our conversation today. You always make me feel very welcome. So thank you for having me today. Yeah, you can reach out to me at viewfromthetop.com is the easiest way. I'm pretty easy to find. You can Google Aaron Walker if you would like to know more about me personally. Yeah. But also, we've created a product called the Mastermind Playbook. We have scaled now. We have 19 mastermind groups in 9 different countries. And so we feel like we have the social proof to substantiate and support what we've done. And we've had members meeting 5 and 6 years in the same group. And so we've created a playbook that teaches you, whether you're an author or a coach or podcast host or a thought leader, that you're wanting to add a really amazing amount of income as a side hustle. Many people are now taking this playbook and implementing it for their primary revenue source. And so we've created a 7-figure business around mastermind groups in a 60-month period of time. And so I know it can be done. And I would encourage you to check out themastermindplaybook.com. And I would love to embark on that journey with you as well.
Absolutely. Aaron Walker, it's always a pleasure, mate, having you on the show. I really appreciate all you had to share. And for those of you that are listening or watching this today, curious to find out more, or maybe looking to create a side hustle and build a network around you, definitely check out the Mastermind Playbook as well.
Barry, thanks a lot, buddy. We'll see you. Have a good one.
Thanks so much. If you're in a position that many of our clients were before joining us, which is that your business is controlling you rather than you controlling your business, we would love to have a chat to you to see whether or not we might be the right fit to partner with you to help you grow and succeed in business. And over the past 8 years, we've helped hundreds of business owners around the world to grow, scale, and succeed in business. Many of our clients report that we've helped them to triple their profits and double their time off in 12 months or less. If you jump onto YouTube and notice the hundreds of testimonies, you'd see that this is a common theme amongst them. If you're a business owner that's generating more than $300,000 a year in annual revenue, whether it's $500 million, $5 million, even $10 million a year, and you're looking to take your business and your life to the next level, we might be able to help. If you're noticing that your business is lacking structure, maybe systems or processes, maybe you're not quite attracting enough or the right type of quality leads, making enough sales,
or maybe you're even having issues finding, hiring, retaining, and training the right team members, we could be a fit for you. Ultimately, we believe that we never have business problems, we have personal problems that are expressed through our business. And a lot of the work we do is with you as a business owner, helping you to constantly upgrade the way that you see life, the way that you make decisions, and the way that you help construct a profitable and purpose-driven business. In order for us to do that though, you need to book in a quick 15-minute application call with one of our scaling specialists here at the Game Changers. Through the 15-minute call, we're going to ask you a bunch of questions to see if or how we might better help you. If we can't help you, we'll let you know politely and do our best to point in the direction of someone that can. However, we can help you. We'll look at booking you a 1-hour game plan session where we're going to dive a lot deeper into where you and your business are at right now, where it is that you want to go in the next 3, 5, and 10 years' time, and what are the potential roadblocks or challenges or even opportunities that are along the journey in order for you to get there faster. If you're really feeling that it's time for you to experience the love and the joy of running a business again, if you're really wanting to experience a business that does actually operate without you while still producing profit, we may very well be the right fit. So book in a 15-minute call, we can have a chat and see where we go from there. My name is Brad Bodidi, and thanks for listening. Hopefully we get a chance to talk soon.